Heyo everybody, it's Monster Forge again, and I'm here to show off some Stormtroopers. I made a recent video about, well, a couple of videos about Stormtroopers in them, and I had mentioned that I collect Stormtroopers, and so I got a couple of messages from people that were like, "Oh, we want to see your Stormtroopers." So, I don't. This isn't all of my Stormtroopers, but this is a good chunk of them. So, I figured we'd start with something in the style of something vintage. It's not a vintage Stormtrooper. I do not have the original Stormtrooper. Let's see, adjust this down a little bit. I do not have the original. This is a bootleg. There was a website, I don't know if it even still functions or not, but it was called Deal Extreme, and they basically had these little bootleg Stormtrooper figures, and they were cheap as dirt. And it came in, like, there were two of them in the set, and one of them was, both of them were made using the original, well, I think it's a scanned version of the original Stormtrooper mold, but it was a white Stormtrooper, and the other one was a black Stormtrooper. And I don't know whatever happened to the black Stormtrooper, but I always kept the white one. And the reason why he's got a stand, I made a stand for him because something about when they scanned it and did it or whatever, the guy leans way over to one side. And if you, like, very gently, well, he's making a liar out of me today. I don't know what's going on. Magic has happened. But normally, if you think about him, he will fall over. So, and one thing you'll notice as I go through this video, and I hadn't really, I don't dwell on it too much because I know it's kind of a sore spot for me, but you'll see several of my Stormtroopers, the older ones that I have, the ones that have been in my collection the longest, they've got some yellowing to them that's not the yellowing that normally occurs with this stuff. Years ago, we had a house fire, and something about the smoke changed the nature of some of the white toys that I have. So, yeah, so some of them have a bit of yellowing that's not the normal yellowing, and you'll see on some of them there's like places where it looks like the yellowing's collected in areas, and that's because of where the soot fell. And I cleaned everything up back in the day whenever I was trying to salvage everything, but it still left this yellowing from the soot falling on everything. So, moral of the story is house fires suck. But anyway, I've got him, and in the recent video I did where I opened up the retro collection figures that recently came out, these are two vintage style figures. This is the Sand Trooper, and this is the Han Solo disguised as a Stormtrooper. So those are pretty cool, and that's my closest to vintage figures. I would like to get a vintage Stormtrooper, and I will eventually. I just haven't had an opportunity to get one at a decent price. So, but I will eventually. It's not one of those things that's really like more what I would like to get is the vintage large size Stormtrooper, the 12-inch ones that came out. But my holy grail is the Boba Fett from that toy line, because I always wanted him as a kid, and I only ever saw him one time in a store. So moving on from that, the vintage Star Wars figures are 3 and 3/4 inch figures, and what continued that line was in the 90s, like 94 or 95 one, the Power of the Force line continued. And I don't have any of the original Power of the Force, the 90s version Stormtroopers. I don't want any of them because they're these big bulky, like, muscular figures. They were trying to tie into the 90s extreme stuff, but eventually they kind of calmed themselves down and started making decent Stormtroopers back in the day. And this is one of the first really kind of decent ones, and you can see it's kind of has kind of goofy proportions, but it was a step in the right direction. And one thing about these that really marked them apart from other stuff was it had more articulation. This guy, and when they were first doing the Power of the Force, more articulated figures, they were kind of wonky with them. Like some would have joints on one side of the body that weren't on the other. I never really understood what, but he has a ball, like a hinge and ball or like disc neck. His shoulders are on like universal type joints. The elbows swivel, they don't bend, but they swivel. He has a swiveling waist, the hips just are cut, and then he has a hinge at the knee. But this was a fantastic step, and at the time I was like, oh man, they'll never make a better Stormtrooper than this, because we weren't used to having Star Wars figures that were that posable. So let's see, I kind of want to give you an idea of what my shelf will look like when I get all these guys back up. Let's see, because I do display all my Stormtroopers together. Oh, Han Solo's helmet wants to come off when you try to pick him up by the head. Go figure. I think this guy was next out of my stuff. There were other Stormtroopers between, but out of my stuff, this guy was the next down the line. And this one had a lot more articulation and a lot more reasonable articulation. He had a ball joint, a true ball joint at the neck for a lot of range. He has that same type of, you know, the shoulders are universal joints. The elbows bend this time. He has wrists that bend and swivel. For the first time, I do believe, this was one of the first ones that had a ball joint in the torso, so you get a lot of range. I'm not exactly sure what fit on his back. He might have had a backpack or something like that. I'm not sure. And you can see some of the yellowing on him. And that could be, that seems to be more like the regular, like a lot of times older Stormtroopers will turn yellow on their own. And that's what this looks like. It looks more like the yellow. You'll see, like, especially some of the vinyl ones that I have, they really caught the soot bad. He still has cut legs, cut joints at the hips, but he now has knees that bend and they swivel, and he also has feet that swivel and they hinge. So that was a big step up in the Stormtrooper world. Boy, he's really dwarfed by Han Solo there. It's just a different style figure. I think this guy was next. I'm not completely sure, but he's one, I think he was like, I can't even remember. I know he was early in the vintage original trilogy collection that they put out later on. But he has similar articulation to this guy. But this one has a face. So, probably would like to see it. Looks a little bit like Channing Tatum. But anyway, he's a nice figure. Oh, this one actually has hips that hinge out. So, that's nice. I think that was the only real difference in the articulation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They're very similar, but there's some differences in there. Let's see. I know this. Now, a lot of people don't like to consider the clones to be part of Stormtroopers, but I do. I think they're just a different iteration of the Stormtroopers, an earlier iteration. But this is one of the Phase 2, I think. I think that's what they call them. Phase 2 Clone Trooper armor. Where the helmets look more like Stormtroopers. I have some of the regular Clone Troopers, the first iteration of the Clone Troopers with the fins on their head, but I couldn't put my hands on them right now. They're probably in storage. A lot of my stuff is in storage right now. Let's see. And this was also from the same time period. This was another Clone Trooper. I think that was Darth Vader's Legion. Is it 301st? I can't remember. I'm a horrible Stormtrooper collector. I can't remember anything. And then maybe this guy was same era. I want to say he was. He's another one that has more articulation. He also has the cut hips like this one, so they're very close. Does he have the little... Oh, he's got... Maybe they're the same. I don't know. They do... There's something different about them, though. But they're very similar. Let's see. Okay. Well, around the time of the Clone Wars cartoon that started coming on, the original one that Genndy Tartakovsky did. Is that his name? Tartakovsky? I think so. This was no. This was during the ones that were the CGI animated Clone Wars, and this is I don't remember what model or anything this was, but he's nice looking, and he's got some good articulation too. His hips are articulated, the shoulders are articulated, the elbows, like all of them have multiple joints at different joints, so that's a good thing. And then when the Rebels cartoon came around, this was the it's more stylized. It has more like the McQuarrie original Stormtrooper design look, like a lot of the stuff in the Rebels cartoon had. But he's really nice. Man, I should have... No, I never mind. I have some Bad Batch figures that I was going to put in here, but I just kind of wanted to see a sea of white out here. Because they're wearing a different form of the clone trooper armor. Then they did a couple of these like 5-point of articulation figures that were in the same scale as the original Star Wars. And these only have like, he's articulated at the neck, the shoulders, and the hips. So he doesn't have knees or elbows or anything like that. And this is another one from that same time, or like maybe a little bit later on. And it's the same way. I think the only difference in articulation that it has is like a ball joint for the, ball joint for the neck. So this guy just has a cut joint. But let's see. Then further on, we had, let's see, get him out here without knocking him down. This is one of the Stormtroopers. I don't remember what collection this was from. It's original, was it the vintage original trilogy series? But this is a Stormtrooper with a E-Web blaster, like the powered blaster thing that they were trying to shoot the Millennium Falcon with in Empire Strikes Back. And I got one of the flamethrower Stormtroopers from The Mandalorian, and he's really cool. There's something horrific about that paint job on him with the red across the face. He would have been kind of a terrifying guy seeing coming towards you, but he's got an elaborate setup on him, and he's more articulated too. This Stormtrooper, focus. This Stormtrooper and the one with the E-Web are the most articulated of the 3 3/4 inch figures that I have. So that's what you see whenever you see my regular Star Wars scale Stormtroopers together, is this like sea of white here. But guess what? There's more. Yeah, you guys just fall over there. That's fine. It's going to be fun. One of the main reasons why I got all these guys out too was I wanted to dust them because I'm redoing my Stormtrooper collection. I got a new display case, and it's going to be just for the Stormtroopers. But these are a couple of figures that I think... let's see. These were just like... they're in the same scale as the, like these type figures, but they're like they're not articulated, so they're like little statues of Stormtroopers, and I always like that kind of stuff too. Let's see, I'll get to that later. Those guys, and then we'll go to no, I'll get to that later. Let's see, this is from that was it Galaxy of Adventure or something like that? I never can remember. They're the ones that they're like, they have action features and stuff. So this Stormtrooper, no, it isn't the articulation. What is it? I know they have like action features. Oh yeah, if you pull his arms back, he lifts his gun up, but it's not really well designed because there isn't much room for that action to work. So I just like him because he's kind of stylized, kind of cartoony, and he's really well articulated. Even with the action feature on it, you can still move the joints, which is one thing that they really did a good job of integrating the joints into the fun gimmick that they had with these figures. So normally I hate gimmicky toys like that, but it's all right. And then going to the 6-inch scale, or like the 1/12 scale, put you back there and get you on screen. This is the latest of the Stormtroopers that I have. I don't remember what he was connected to. I want to say he was like a Mandalorian. I mean, it could be anything really. But there's the regular Stormtrooper. Now this was one of the video game exclusives, and that isn't the gun he came with. I just didn't have a gun for him. He was like a crowd control scout trooper or whatever, or something like that. And he came with like this electric baton and all, and I didn't like it, so I gave him a gun. But in the same series of things here, we've got the Captain Rex, who is one of my favorite clones of all time, and he's wearing his integrated armor, which is his sort of like a patch together version of the Mark II with some of the Mark I stuff. And that's kind of what he did with his armor. I guess keeping the functionality of the Phase 1, I say Mark a minute ago, Phase 1, whatever, into Phase 2. And he's got his little etchings of the kills on him there. And he's a really cool figure. He has the removable helmet, so you can see come on now. It likes to get caught on his hair. Let me do this off. Yeah. So yeah, you can see Captain Rex face there, which of course is Tamura Morrison. Somebody was saying that he's supposed to be appearing in some series coming up, or some movie or something. So that'll be good. It'll be good to see Tamura Morrison reprising that role. Maybe it's Ahsoka season 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, and the latest thing I have to add to the 6-inch, sort of 6-inch scale, because this guy is smaller, is that Blocky's Stormtrooper that I absolutely adore. But that's it for the 6-inch guys. I have some other 6-inch figures. Oh, wait. I do have this. Not big in the articulation department, but nice in the size, the sort of detail. This was one of those budget troopers. Like, they had them at stores like Family Dollar and stuff like that. They came in like a little box, and it's really nice. It's a nice figure. It's articulated at the shoulders. No, the wrists aren't articulated. The gun's made into his hand, but he has a ball joint at the neck. But these figures are really nice to have like as backgrounds, just kind of standing there. And it looks nice in a collection too. I wonder, is he the same? Nope. The Blocky's one is even shorter than him. So there's different things, I like Stormtroopers to be kind of uniform, because Princess Leia was like, aren't you a little short for a Stormtrooper? Huh? Yep. Let's see. Some other stuff. The sort of kidsy stuff. This is where you'll see the first case of this yellowing that was because of the soot. And you can tell because it has sort of like a burnt nature to it. You can see it better in person than on camera. But this is a vinyl. I'm not exactly sure what this is. I picked it up at a like a thrift store or something like that. Now I know what this is. That's a dog toy. Yep, it's a dog toy, and This is a gumball machine, which I didn't realize it, but, and this has some of that, there was like a little sticker here, and some of the soot adhered to where the sticker had been. Ooh, sorry, I get hiccups. Anyway, this used to, when you press the button, it used to make like Stormtrooper marching sounds, which was fun. It's a clone trooper, of course. But what I didn't realize until I was getting ready to make this video is it was still full. It's a candy dispenser. Like you press the button right here, and candy would come shooting out of here, and the speakers would emit like the sound of the chomp, chomp, chomp of their feet marching, which is kind of cool. But I didn't realize that I had put him on the shelf and he was still full of candy. So when I was cleaning and dusting the figures, I went to dust him, and the head actually twists and comes off. And when it did, candy just spit out everywhere, and it was old and like it was crusty. It was really nasty because those are like several years old. Yeah, so there's those fun things. And I have well, we'll just save that for a minute. Because that'll be with busts. This is busts. Let's see. These are some of the kidsy figures. Like, I mean, all toys are kidsy, but these are the ones that were specifically made for kids. I want to say it was like Play School or something like that made this line. They were a little, I don't remember what the line was even called, but I've got a Scout Trooper there on, Scout, come on. There we go. Scout Trooper on his bike. And I think the Scout will come off and he can just stand on his own. But he's made to kind of hold on to the bike. Not literally hold on because his hands aren't able to hold on. But anyway, that's a pretty neat little thing. And then this was one of the early, because they eventually made these guys articulated. But when they first came out with these were kind of considered like a little kid's line. And they were just like, you know, like, I don't know if they're rubber or just PVC. But yeah, they're nice figgles. Oh, you know what? I think I turned. Yep, I did. I turned the brightness down on this thing accidentally. But anyway, these were nice little chunky figures. And then later on, these might be the Play School ones. I'm not sure. These came out and they were like in 2-packs, and they're more articulated. They've got, you know, their hips, they're joined together inside of the crotch there. The heads turn, and are they ball jointed? No, they're just cut. The shoulders have hinges, so you can move them out to the side, and the wrists turn. But these also had the guns were made into the hands, which is nice because kids can't lose them as easily. And let's see, this little guy, this is part of that. Actually, I have a package over here. Wait a minute. I'll be able to tell you what the name of these guys are. What are they called? Mission Fleet. Which is funny because I thought there was a Mission Fleet before all of that. But these were Mission Fleet figures, and they were really nicely done, stylized. These were sort of, once again, a little kind of kidsy, but they had a lot more articulation. They have like ball jointed necks. They have shoulders that are universal. The wrists move. The waists don't turn, but the hips are individually articulated just at the hips. And they come with removable weapons, which is kind of a pain in the butt because their weapons are really, really tiny. Come on. Oh, holy crap. That was unfortunate. I did not mean to do that. I was trying to get the camera back to its, there you go. Got it back to its standard brightness. But those are the kitty lines that I have. Let's see. I'm going to go through this in a nice way, kind of keeping it together there. But I also have some small Stormtroopers. This was the old Galoob. Oh, it was Action Fleet. It wasn't Mission Fleet. It was Action Fleet for these. The other ones were Mission Fleet. Well, this guy isn't, but this guy is I don't know. It just seems like it's not bright enough on here. Maybe my head's dented or something. But yeah, this is the action fleet, and they made a lot of little small vehicles with little articulated figures that sat in them, and they were really cool. And that's one of the smaller Stormtroopers I have, and I'm not sure what this was from. This is one of them that it's an older one that I have, and it's got some soot that damaged it. So I just like to think it gives them character. But anyway, that's some of the smaller figures I have. They had I can't remember what they called this line, but like all of the characters were blind packaged, and they came in these little balls, and you could shoot them out and knock over the other guys' armies with them. But I always thought they were cute little, sort of squishy versions, and they're made out of like a rubber or a PVC or something like that. They're real soft. And then once more with the kitty stuff, I have a Stormtrooper, and this is another older one because it's got the soot crap on it. It's a duck trooper, but not any duck. This is Donald Duck as a Stormtrooper. A friend of mine gave that to me. I think he got it at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, one of the two. But he's a nice little figure. I love him a lot. One of my favorites. Let's see. Oh, yeah, he's articulated at the shoulders, and nope, not the wrists, not the elbows, but the hips are. So you can get him in all kind of fun ducky positions, and the head turns as well. But he's pretty cool. Let's see. Now I don't know if I already showed this or not, but I'll go on to the little bust type things. And I have a bust of a Lieutenant Clone Trooper from Gentle Giant, and this is a really nicely sculpted bust, really nicely detailed and painted. And the Gentle Giant stuff was always nice. Okay. 2ABO? I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's a collector's club gift. I can't remember it. Somebody gave this to me, or I think somebody gave this one to me. I didn't purchase this one, so I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but people have given me a lot of Stormtroopers over the years. I wish I could remember who gave me exactly what, but this is really nice. This is resin, so it's nice and chunky there. Another bust that I have is I think this came on top of like a drink container. These are called pods with a Z. Does this come? No, I don't think that comes off. But there's like a Stormtrooper bust in there, and that's pretty nice. And then I have, this was like a little assembly thing. This came with some kind of chocolate candy. But it's a little Stormtrooper, and you put it together, and it's pretty nice. He's wearing all white gloves, so he's fancy. Let's see, what else do I have here? We're talking about, well, I'll show that later. Helmets and heads. We're in the bust category, so that is and you can see this has some of that soot damage on it here, and I really hate that. This, I think, is regular yellowing, but I don't know why. This was turned away from any lights for the longest time, and usually I think the lights is what causes the yellowing. I could be wrong, but this is definitely the soot stuff, and wherever that soot is, it turns it yellow. But this is one of those DIY, you paint it yourself, sort of a designer vinyl type thing where you put your own art on it, but I just like the Stormtrooper helmet. This is, of course, a coffee mug that's a Stormtrooper helmet. And, oh man, some of the decals have... You know what? I think I got this one at the thrift store. So it's used. That's why it's got some of the damage on it. But cool nonetheless. I mean, heck, I love a thrift store. And this was some kind of candy prize egg thing. So it, I think it seems to be held together pretty well. I don't want to, oh, there we go. Yeah, it had candy in it or something like that. And this one as well. This is an Easter egg that is a Stormtrooper. Yeah. Stormtrooper helmet. So that's cool. What can I say? I love Stormtroopers. There we go. Now this is a really neat helmet, because this was, for a while there, I can't remember who had them, if it was Ollie's or Big Lots or whatever. They got a shipment of these die-cast metal helmets with these little stands, and the stands have a little bit of articulation, so you can pose it up or down or however you want to. But yeah, these are die-cast, and they're nice. There's there's a little bit of weight to them, but this would roughly fit the head of like a 12-inch figure. So it's 1/6 scale? Yeah, 1/6 scale figure. It's really nice. Yeah, this is post house fire incident, because it's shiny. That's another thing. The soot, when it landed on stuff, I don't know if like it chemically changed it or if it was the heat from it or whatever, but it kind of left like it took all the gloss away from anything that was glossy. This one's a big one, and I don't want to break it. This is a Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet cookie jar. And what's funny is, at one point, I could keep my whole Stormtrooper collection inside of this thing, but it went beyond those boundaries a while back. So that's one of the bigger Star Wars things that I have. But don't worry, they get bigger. Let's see. Really should have had these things lined up so it'd be easier to do. Oh, this guy's fun. This is a wacky head bobbler guy. I'm not sure exactly who put these out. Let's see, was it? Oh, this was Funko. So this was way back in Funko's time of doing Star Wars stuff. But it's a zombie. There's like a whole series of these. Like Darth Vader is a ghost or something like that. Yoda's kind of creepy. They all look like sort of like Boris Karloff and crew were playing him. But yeah, he's very nervous. Speaking of nervous bobbler head things, this is the one Stormtrooper pop vinyl I have. That's it. I don't have any other Stormtrooper pop vinyls. But I really do like this one. This was like it was some kind of special anniversary one that came out in 2022. But he's really nice. And, he fits that whole Stewie Griffin in a Stormtrooper outfit look. And other fun bobblehead stuff is, well, got to do this right if I'm going to do it at all. Oh, well, it doesn't want to do much at all. Looks like he's drunk. Yeah, it's just a little Stormtrooper on an AT-AT. I think this was like a kid's meal toy for somewhere. Not exactly sure. But, that's cute. Let's see, what else? Before I get into the big stuff, I will take a look at a couple of things that are not... darn it. Gosh, I hope that didn't break. Nope, it didn't. Good. I'm not a fan of the sequel movies. I'm really not a fan of the sequel. Oh, well, before I get to that, this is another 3 3/4 inch figure. This was from Rogue One, and it's one of the, I think they call them Death Troopers or whatever. They were like these sort of enhanced Stormtroopers that were actually good at shooting things. So Very cool figure, very lanky, but if you know anything about the lore of these guys, they were like really augmented, creepy guys that spoke some kind of weird, almost droid language. But back onto this, I don't like the sequels, but I did collect some of the sequel figures at the time. So I got the regular, what do they call them, First Order or whatever. First Order Stormtrooper and a First Order Phasma. I really did like Phasma, like the design of Phasma and everything, and I kind of was hoping, you know, like I gave the first movie a chance. I'm like, okay, cool, it's good building blocks. It's not perfect, but we can build on it. And then they came out with 2, and it's like, okay, well, Phasma's back. This is going to be like a big epic show. And it's like, no, she gets punked. But I have also the 6-inch version of Phasma. Let's see if I can get them all in frame there. And I also have the 6-inch version of the First Order Stormtrooper. So, but I also have from that same line, the Galaxy of Adventure or whatever it was, I've got one of the jetpack troopers, which was it Poe Dameron or whatever. It was like, what, they fly now or whatever. It was like, dude, they've been flying since the Clone Wars, shut up. And then they made like it was some kind of like a CGI cartoon for the sequel stuff. And I got a couple of figures from that because I'm not going to pass up a Stormtrooper. And this is a gold Stormtrooper, right? But one thing that I've got that I really like that's sequel related, and I don't like it so much because of the sequel related, just because I think it's a really nice figure. This is the Tamashii Nations sort of samurai Captain Phasma, and it is a really nice figure. It's really well articulated. It's got super detailed components to it, and it's themed after like old samurai warriors. Even has a little gorget there underneath the chin. It comes with a rifle that has like a little stand on it, and just really high quality figure. This was a gift from my brother, and he knocked it out of the park with this one. But really cool, and the sword itself will store in the sheath on the hip, and you know, like all of the armor is detailed to look like old samurai armor. This is one of my favorite Stormtroopers, actually. But now we're going to move on to did I show? Okay, all right. A couple of things I left out. The busts. There's this little guy. It's just a little eraser that's a bust. I think I picked this up at like Dollar General or Dollar Tree or oh no, that was Target. I think these are the Target prices that they do. Innovative Designs, I think. Whatever. It was $1, and I'm not going to turn down a Stormtrooper anything for $1. And this I picked up at a thrift store. It's a chess piece that's a Stormtrooper, which, you know, very cool. I like the pose and everything, so kind of weird that it's black, but I think, you know, the dark side, that type of, yeah, you know, that crap. So what we're going to do now is, oh, there's one thing I left out, but I'm going to save that for last. I'm going to go from my biggest, up to my biggest Stormtroopers, and then down to my tiniest Stormtroopers. So, these are the Titan Hero. This is a Titan Hero size, or whatever. I'm going to have to start doing this without the stand. Stormtrooper. And these were, it was during a point there where the economy was getting kind of tough again, or, you know, it does that. It just does that. But the economy was getting kind of tough, and so they were kind of cutting down on cat fur. Great. They're kind of cutting down on the price of things because they knew that families were kind of struggling and all, and so they still wanted to sell toys. So these are hollow ABS plastic. They're really cheap to make and all. They're big figures, and they retailed for like $10. And they've kept pretty much that price point for the Titan series figures. The Titan figures have gotten a little bit better with articulation and all, but originally it was like you just had I don't think it's a, no, it's not a ball joint neck. It's just a cut joint. Cut joints at the shoulders, cut joints at the hips. This one actually has a removable blaster, which you can see there. And they have cut joints at the wrists. So they look really nice on a shelf. I was collecting a lot of the Titan Hero scale stuff, and then I just cut back on it and kind of cut out the fat of the collection getting those. But I kept my Stormtroopers, of course. And then this is one of the clone troopers, and that's the Mark 1 or Phase 1, I'm not sure. And this one's one that the soot got to pretty badly. And you can see it. And sadly, some of the bigger Stormtroopers that I have actually have a lot of that soot damage, and you can see it all down him. But like I said, you know, it's marks of distinction for him. He's been through the fire and he's made it out. So those two guys. And then a little bit scaled up from that is, let's get these boys out of the way. There's this big boy, and he is, I want to say he's like 14 inches tall, maybe a little bit taller than that. He's a big boy too, and he's articulated at the shoulders. He's got cut joints. Does he have wrists? Yes, he has wrist joints, and he has a cut joint at the neck up there, and he's got cut joints at the, I think the hips. Yep. So it's a really nice figure. I picked this one up at like a yard sale or something like that. But one thing that's funny about him, if you know anything about proportions, that head is really tiny. He's got a big old body and a little head. Not sure what was going on there, but I still love the figure. And let's see, sticking with bigger figures here, I got the Imaginext. I think these are the mega scale figures. It's just like an upsized version of an Imaginext figure, and he has a launcher that shoots a missile out of it off his shoulder. But my favorite of the Stormtroopers was always the Sand Troopers. So when I saw this guy, I was a big Sand Trooper. I was like, heck yeah. And I got him on sale on Amazon Prime for like, I think I paid like maybe $15 for him, and he's massive. Now, for my absolute biggest Stormtrooper, this was a crazy deal on Amazon that I got. It was one like a Cyber Monday deal that they had. This is an absolutely massive clone trooper, and you can see he just towers over everything else, and he's really cool. I love this figure. He has articulation at the wrists, the hips, the shoulders, and the neck. It's like cut joints for all of them, but the detail on him is just so cool. And he's the last of the big ones that I have, but I think it's kind of fun to show in his big old hand. I have two of my tiniest Stormtroopers. These are the new, I don't know what the line is called. They come with these little vehicles that are like 1/60th scale, but it's a little tiny Stormtrooper, and they're articulated. They came with, these particular ones came with this Imperial troop transport, and the little figures fit into these little holder things here for them, because this was a toy that I think Sears, it was a Sears exclusive, or JCPenney, I'm not sure, one of those catalogs back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they were producing Star Wars stuff. And I always wanted one of these things. It made all these weird noises and everything. I just thought it looked really cool. It's got little wheels on it and everything. But also the cockpit opens and you can put one of the Stormtroopers in there piloting it. But that's my Stormtrooper, well, some of my Stormtrooper collection. From the tiniest to the biggest one. And if you see back there, you'll see Hulk collection, which maybe one of these days I'll make a mega video about my very dusty Hulk collection. There's quite a few Hulks up there, and more over there and everywhere else. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my look at my Stormtrooper obsession, and I'll see you in the next one. Monster Forge out.